Something that I didn't mention in the previous video that I did about concerning my testimony and how the Lord saved me. I had been living with a woman at the time that I was arrested. I was still living with her. We had 2 kids together. We were not married. And I believe that the Bible is very clear when it says that marriage is honorable, but fornicators, adulterers, God will judge. And I don't believe those relationships are blessed of God at all. And certainly mine was not. However, I did have 2 children, and I had a desire to be a good dad. I wanted to. I had a good relationship with my dad, and I wanted the same between me and my son. And but I knew some things in my life was going to have to change in order for me to be, even remotely a decent parent. I knew there was things in my life that were going to have to change. And I didn't, I set out to start changing them. I wanted to, stop the partying, the drinking, having people over, the smoking pot and all this. And as I set about to do those things, it created a lot of animosity, a lot of fighting between me and their mom. I mean, a lot of fighting. I would find drugs in the house, and I would throw them away. And it created a lot of hostility. And I had a desire to change, but apparently she did not. And so, sometimes when you're in those situations, it's kind of the old, if you can't beat them, join them. You get tired of fighting about things, and so you just kind of continue on the way things were. But deep down inside, I really had a desire to be a better man, to be a better father, to be, something more than what I currently was. And I ended up getting a job. Now, I was a musician. I traveled with a band for quite a while, making music that way. But I quickly learned that that was not a lifestyle for me. I did not like traveling. I did not like the whole rock and roll lifestyle. Waking up in a different city every day, not really knowing where you were, going to bed when the sun came up and getting up as the sun comes down. It really wasn't something that I liked. I thought I did. I thought that was what I wanted, but once I got to doing that regularly, I found out that was not really a lifestyle that I particularly enjoyed. So I got a job. I went and applied for a job. I had some carpenter skills, and I went and applied for a job at a boat factory here in Valdosta. It was called Bayliner Marine Corporation. And like I told you in the other video, I had people that had been witnessing to me, had people that had been talking to me. The jail preacher had certainly planted a seed in me. And I certainly had a desire to change. But I didn't see anything in my life that looked like change was on the horizon unless I did it. So I ended up getting a job. I thought, well, I'll get a job, so that I'm not making a living in bars and nightclubs and, biker bars and things that I was accustomed to making a living in. And I figured that would help. Give me some stability in my life and all. And it really, all it did is gave me more money to do those things. It was a job that I was paid, pretty well. And I had plenty of money to do a lot of things. Anyway, long story short, I continued in that lifestyle. Even though I wanted to change, I did continue in it. Some of which to keep the peace between me and my children's mom. And all of a sudden, I went to this job interview to get a job at this boat manufacturer. And I went in there for the job interview, and I was talking to the guy that interviewed me, and he said, I see you've got some carpenter skills and things like that. You know how to build cabinets? And I said, yeah. And so he he offered me the job, and then he looked at me and he goes, I want to talk to you about something. He said, this is completely off the record, and whether or not you talk to me about this or not is it's not going to keep you from getting the job. If you tell me you don't want to hear what I'm about to say to you, I'm not going to fire you because of it. He said, this is just something personal I want to share with you. And I thought, okay. And so the guy started talking to me, and he shared his testimony with me of how he became a Christian, how he got saved. And it was just like, wow, everywhere I go, I'm running into this everywhere I go. I mean, I can't even go to a job interview without someone talking to me about the Lord. Now, by now, I knew, it was apparent that God was trying to get my attention, but that was all I knew. I didn't know what to do about it. But one of the things he told me, he said, I used to think before I became a Christian that I was living it up, man. I was drinking, partying, doing drugs, chasing women, all this. I thought that was life. He said, what I found out was the more I did those things, the more lonely I became, the more depressed I became. He said, until Jesus Christ came into my life and saved me, I didn't know what true freedom and true living really were. And I listened as he said that, probably, looked down at the desk, just listening, thinking. Probably in his mind, he had to be thinking, this guy's not interested in nothing I'm saying. But I was literally absorbing every word. But the other thing that I was absorbing was the fact that no matter where I went, there it was. This testimony of this person by the name of Jesus Christ, and how he can and had transformed lives that were very similar to mine. So I let him talk, and he got through and everything, and I thanked him. I said, I appreciate. I didn't have any questions because I didn't know what questions to ask. But it hadn't escaped my notice that everywhere I went, it seemed like this kind of thing was taking place. So I left the interview, and fast forward a little bit, I go to work there, and I got into this to the wood shop in this boating manufacturer. And I went to work there for a while. Wasn't too long after I worked there before God completely jerked the rug out from under me. I mean, it was just everything that I cared anything about, I lost. Because really the only thing that I had that I valued at that point in my life were my two children. I came home from work one day, and their mother was gone, and so were they. Everything that we owned in that house, except I think maybe one chair, one chair, she took. She left. No questions asked. I mean, just gone. I had no idea. No idea where she went. No idea where the kids were. Nothing. And so I spent that first weekend the way any man would probably spend a weekend, coming home, not finding his children, not having no idea where they were. I spent it pretty drunk. And from Friday night to Sunday night was pretty much a blur to me, to be totally honest. Finally, someone told me, hey, we're having a party. It was a Sunday afternoon. So, hey, we're having a party. Why don't you come over? And I said, yeah, I think I will. I'll join you guys. So I went with some buddies of mine. We all got together. We went to this place, and a bunch of my friends were there, and everybody was sitting around the living room and smoking pot. And I was actually sober at that time. I had sobered up from the Saturday night before. By the time I got there, I was not on any drugs. I was not drinking. And I went into this room. I sat down, and these guys were passing, joints around, and I began to partake. And I smoked pot, and I didn't get high. And so, I just thought, yeah, y'all bought some bad, y'all bought some bad stuff. I said, listen, does anybody got any different weed than that? And, somebody said, yeah, I've got something different. I said, well, roll one up, and they rolled one up, and I smoked it, and we passed it around. I still wasn't high. Just still could not get high. Finally, I told a buddy of mine, I said, I don't feel nothing. I have not even the remotest buzz, nothing. And I said, roll up another one. And the guy said, listen, Ronnie, I'll roll it up, but you're going to smoke it by yourself. I'm blasted. He said, if I smoke anymore, I think I'll pass. I said, roll it up. Nothing, not a buzz, nothing. So he rolls this up. I put it in my mouth like a cigarette, light it up. I'm sitting there smoking this. And as I did, the most overwhelming sense of, you need to get out of this place. You are, I mean, I can't even describe the feeling. It was almost terrifying. It was like, get out of here. You do not belong here. And it was really frightening. But I wasn't high at all. I got up and I told my buddy, I said, man, I got to go. And he said, what? I said, I need to go. I need to go home. I just need to leave right now. Carry me back home, or, And he said, yeah, man, yeah, I'll take you home. And these guys knew what I was going through. And so I guess they thought that probably had something to do with it. They had no idea what was going on inside of me. So I ended up leaving. A buddy of mine drove me back home. Probably I would have been better off to drive because I was stone cold sober. We were driving home and he asked me, he said, Ronnie, are you okay? And I said, no. There's something going on with me, and I don't know what it is. And I told him, I said, sometimes, man, I really think I might be just losing my mind. I said, but the one thing I did tell him, I said, everywhere I go, people are wanting to talk to me about God. So anyway, he took me home. He didn't really know what to say. He took me home. He dropped me off. I walked in my house, and I thought to myself, you know what? I am going to get drunk. If I can't get high, I'm going to get drunk. I had a brand new bottle of Crown Royal whiskey that I had just bought. I hadn't even broke the seal on this thing. And it was one with a little red stopper in the top for pouring shots. And everything in the house had been cleared out. I mean, she took everything except my bottle of Crown Royal whiskey. And I went to find this bottle of whiskey, and it's got the little red shot stopper. For those of you, some of you may know what I'm talking about, unfortunately. But anyway, it's kind of hard to drink out of those bottles unless you remove that stop. But I thought, you know what, that's no problem. I've got a shot glass around this house. So I go to looking for my shot glass, and I couldn't find it. Could not find it. I looked everywhere. I looked where it normally is. I looked in the kitchen, the bathroom. I looked everywhere. Could not find my shot glass. But as I was walking throughout that house, that Bible that I got in jail was laying on like a little shelf in a room in that house. And every time I passed by, my eye would catch it, even in my peripheral vision, would catch that Bible. And it, it did draw my attention, but it wasn't what I was looking for. I was not looking for religion. I was looking for a shot glass. And so I kept looking for it. I walk in another room looking for my shot glass, come back, I see that Bible again. I'm like, that's not what I'm hunting. So I go back, and you know how it is when you hunt for something. Sometimes you'll walk through the same places of your house 3 or 4 times because you're like, I know it's got to be here somewhere. I'm just overlooking it. And every time I did that, my notice of that Bible just got stronger and stronger. The impulse to pick that Bible up almost became overwhelming. So finally I decided, you know what? I'm going to pick that Bible up, and I don't need the shot glass. I'll bite this red stopper at the top of this bottle. I'm going to sit down on the floor, read this Bible, and drink until I pass out. I sat down on the floor, shot glass in one hand, Bible in the other. Now, guys, to tell you, I knew nothing about the Bible. Nothing. So I didn't know where to read. I didn't know where to open the Bible to. I didn't know anything. It was just, I laid this book in my lap, flipped the pages open as randomly as you could ever imagine flipping a book open. I bit the top of the stopper, the shot glass stopper, out of this bottle, looked down at the pages right as I was about to take a drink, and lo and behold, there on the pages was these words: "Look not upon the wine when it is red in a cup, for afterwards it stings like an adder." Now, I knew full well what that was saying. The next thing you know, the next thing I knew, I was standing in the bathroom over the toilet, pouring this brand new bottle of Crown Royal into the toilet as if someone else was in control of me. I mean, I wanted to pour it out, but the way these things happened, it was just, there was no way on earth that out of a book this thick that I knew nothing about, that I would open those pages and it would warn me of the very thing I had in the other hand. I knew without a doubt at that point, I'm in trouble. I'm in bad trouble. God is looking at me. He is aware of me. And it's going to be a miracle if he doesn't kill me. I poured that bottle of Crown Royal down that toilet. And while I was at it, I decided, you know what? I'm done with this whole life. I went and grabbed a bag of pot that I had. And I also flushed it down the toilet. I was literally terrified of what was going on in me. That night, I remember going to bed stone cold sober for the first time that weekend, clutching a Bible in one hand and a .357 Magnum revolver in the other hand. Now, I wasn't suicidal. I clutched that revolver because I was so afraid. And I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, looking back on it, it was very foolish. I mean, if God showed up, what was I going to do? Shoot him? But I was terrified. I didn't know what was happening to me. I had this sense that someone was watching me. And I was scared. But I went to bed that night clutching that Bible in one hand, clutching a pistol in the other hand, very foolishly. And there I laid, asleep, until the alarm clock went off to tell me to get up and go to work the following Monday morning.